Welcome to students of the game. Wherever you are, wherever you may be listening, thank you for making us your home for Williamson County High School football. I'm your host, Gentry Neese, joined by the ever handsome Jett Wilson as my co-host. Jett, how you feeling over there, pal?
Feeling fantastic, man. Excited to be here. Excited to talk about some football.
Absolutely. I think we don't need to mention what needs no introduction is that this is officially game week. Let's give it up for the first game week.
We're
week
finally
0
here.
this Friday night. We're going to mainly preview the Franklin High School versus Centennial game, the Battle of Franklin, they call it. We had many battles of Franklin as a background for Jett and I. We actually played all 4 years football at Franklin High School, and then we played together. Jett, where did we play after that? Where did our journey lead us?
We played at Birmingham Southern College.
Yes, the artist formerly known as Birmingham Southern College. The D3 place where Jett and I played recently shut down, so a little moment of silence for them. All right, good. Now back to Franklin. So we're going to be biased to Franklin. We went to Franklin High School. We are alumni. Let's talk about the Centennial game. Let's get into it. I feel like before we get into the X's and O's, let's talk about what is on everybody's mind, whether you're a fan or a player or a coach, is the head ball coach. He is a brand new head ball coach. This will be his first game coaching on Friday night. Jett, your brother is the starting quarterback, so you've been to a lot of the scrimmages and 7-on-7s, right? And you've seen him off script, off book, right, in the moment. Tell me your thoughts going into Friday night on Coach Atkins, the new ball coach of the Franklin High School Admirals.
Yep. I haven't gotten to know Coach Atkins personally, but talking to my brother, talking to some of the guys on the team, he's hardcore. He knows exactly what he wants. He's not going to let anyone slack around. He's an Army guy, former soldier. Then that's how he prepares them for the game. So it's very discipline-oriented. But at the end of the day, none of it matters unless they win. And that's the thing about being a new coach. For everyone to buy into your system, to believe that what you're doing is the right thing, you got to win.
I love that. I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm going to comment on what you said on the discipline thing. In the off-season workouts, we know the players. They said that he ramped the workouts up. They were hard. They were physical. They were fast-paced. But the discipline thing specifically, right? When you're running sprints in the off-season, our classic thing is what? Get behind the what?
Get behind the line.
Get behind the line. And that might not make a huge physical impact on the conditioning of the players,
right.
But when that does come up, is the discipline thing on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, you're on the defensive line, they go hard count, and you hold your water and you don't jump off sides,
right.
Saving your team. And then you get off the ball, you get a stop, you didn't cost your team 15 yards. That's where that type of discipline stuff really comes in. But at the end of the day, you're right. None of the rah-rah will matter if they don't win games. There's a saying that winning cures everything. So you can have a quirky coaching thing, right? And if you win, everybody thinks you're a genius, a Sean McVay, right? A Kyle Shanahan, an Andy Reid. However, if you start losing games, people think it's quirky. Jim Harbaugh with the chicken, right? The nervous bird, right? And so I completely agree with you there. I want to shift to this now, getting into the X's and O's. I feel like let's to really analyze this Friday night's game, we have to journey back to last year's opening game, Franklin at Centennial. Okay, Franklin actually jumped off. If you remember, your brother scrambles out on the first play. We get a one-play touchdown after they botch a trick play, and now we're feeling really good. We jump up 7-0, but we end up losing the game. And what Centennial killed us with was their wildcat formation. We knew a run was coming. Jett, you played defensive ball. As a defensive player or a defensive coach, going into Friday night, how do you prepare for the Wildcat? Because you know they're not going to run it every play, so that can't be your main focus. But you also, it just like last year, it can get you if you're not ready. Jett, tell me about the Wildcat.
Yeah, and the Wildcat was something last year that I think caught Franklin off guard a little bit.
Okay, I understand,
and
yeah.
they never adjusted to it. That's the thing. Adjustments, we know second half adjustments, Bill Belichick, Saban, all about the second half adjustments.
Absolutely.
It's something Franklin did not adjust to.
Yeah.
It ended up losing the game because of it. The Wildcat, you can run it a couple different ways. The way that Centennial ran it last year was all run. They didn't have anything else running off of it. It was really just power to the right, some jet sweep. Franklin never adjusted. They kept the same base defense that you're running if you have a quarterback in the shotgun. You really have to sell out on the run.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. So how do you bringing people
you
up?
You got to bring people in the box. You also it's a personnel thing too. If you
Yeah.
got guys that you know are good at getting off blocks, good at playing the run, you're playing those guys. Maybe your fast guys that are good in coverage.
Are they manned up
Or out a
outside?
little
Or what are they doing outside?
If you know that the guy that's playing quarterback, running back, can't throw the ball, you go man to man on the outside. I mean, there's no need for you to play pass at all. You sell out on the run. But that doesn't mean everyone comes up to the line. You don't want to make yourself vulnerable to a big play.
Yeah.
But make sure everyone knows their gaps. But it really is an adjustment thing. You got to watch the film on the sideline. You know, Franklin's got their iPads. They've got their TVs.
Yeah. And their drones. They've got the drones.
Right.
Yeah.
Make sure everyone knows their gap assignments. Draw it up on the sideline. And you just got to know what's coming. It's more of a mental thing than physical. Because we know there is a lot of teams that are bigger and stronger and faster than Franklin.
Fair enough.
But Centennial's not one of those. Centennial and Franklin match up pretty well athleticism-wise, size-wise. They're not like a Brentwood who's just has monster O-line every year. So Franklin can stop it. It's a coaching thing.
It's a coaching thing, and I love that. And so hopefully with this new coaching regime, they'll be prepared for it. Their defensive coordinator, the great Donnie Webb, we played for him. We love, we're big Donnie fans. So no doubt they'll be prepared and they'll be ready for defense. And I love that when Malcolm Butler made the interception against Seattle in the Super Bowl to save the game on the goal line. That is a play Seattle never had run. And then a story came out later that during the week, defensive coordinator at Matt Patricia and Bill Belichick, they thought just what ifs, how else can we prepare, right? Because they knew that any big game is going to come down to those moments. And even though they didn't see it on film, they had seen it in other places across the NFL, and they decided defensively to line up and practice against that play, even though Seattle never run it in film. So when Seattle gets in the game on the final drive, as they're driving down to win the Super Bowl, right? They get on the goal line, and they line up in the same formation that they practice. They just happen to pull it out, and they throw the slant pick play, and Malcolm Butler, because they practiced it that week, was ready for it. He jumps in front of it, saves the game by picking it off. I feel like the Wildcats got to be the same way. You're not really going to overly focus on it, right? But when it does happen, you've got to have people in there. Your defensive players have to register. Your defensive coaches have to send the right personnel in to get them prepared for what's about to happen, because just to your point, it can be kind of tricky and gimmicky, and so to stop it, you've got to be prepared and ready to roll, no matter if they've shown it on film or not.
Right, 100%.
So switching now to tomorrow, this is the final topic we want to talk about today, previewing the Franklin Centennial game. You're going to see trick plays, right? Centennial last week opened with a trick play, right? Take all that out. Let's focus on the first offense versus first defense and vice versa. The guys, these brand new teams, even though there's a lot of the same players, there's still two brand new different teams. I would argue that Franklin has the best skill positions in the county. Okay, so with your brother at quarterback, with those weapons behind you.
I'm gonna stop you real quick.
Okay.
His name's Brewer Wilson.
Okay.
And he's not my brother, I'm his brother.
All right, I will correct that. We'll strike that from the record. We'll get that done. So, Brewer Wilson, in which you are the brother of, okay, he's got the quarterback. He's got the best weapons around him. But I want to talk the trenches, right? Yep. They say when you're building a team, you got to start with three things. Get the quarterback right. We've got that. Protect your quarterback, and then get guys to get the other guy's quarterback. Talk to me about that second two. What we have to see protecting the quarterback and getting to the other guy's quarterback that will really make the difference on Friday night against Centennial, because we know the skill positions are covered, but those two things are just as important to protect and get after their quarterback. So tell me a little bit about your thoughts going into that. What do they need to do?
Yeah, I'll start on the defense side of the ball. This has been a spot where Franklin has improved over the last couple years. I'd say 2 years ago, when Franklin was at their worst, it was a huge problem, maybe the biggest problem on the team. People were ripping off 5-6 yard runs easily. They were doing it anytime they tried. Last year it got a little better. We saw some negative plays. This D-line that's returning this year is bringing back almost everybody from last year. What I've seen in scrimmages leading up to it, they look much better than I've seen them look. They're having tackles for loss. They're putting pressure on the quarterback. And pressure on the quarterback has been something we have not seen.
We did not see it last year. They had all day to throw. We had good corners. They did their best. They covered. But you're right. The pressure on the quarterback, you've got to get in his head because that's both a physical and a mental thing. Mm-hmm. If you can get in the quarterback's head, he's a half second late on his reads. He's timid, right? His balls maybe are a little more inaccurate because he can really start feeling the pressure.
For
right?
sure.
That's how Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, Buccaneers versus Chiefs. That is the only Super Bowl Patrick Mahomes has lost. Why? Mm-hmm. They got pressure on him.
They got all over him.
He's the best, right? Those are the two goats. If you can get pressure on any quarterback, no matter how good they are, you will rattle them.
Yep.
Great answer. Now shift to the offensive line.
Offensive line is a question mark right now. We lost a lot of guys from last year's O-line that wasn't great in its own right. But I will say on a positive note, the scrimmage last week was completely live. Tackle, football, quarterback, everybody. And the quarterback was not touched a single time. Mm-hmm. So, to give the offensive line some props, in their one contest where they've been live this season, they kept the quarterback clean. So I'm gonna keep faith in them right now.
Is this a proclamation that you're making for Friday night?
Hey, I was excited to see it. I hope they can continue it going. But this also, offensive line, as you know, it's a coaching thing too. Where
absolutely,
it's not just the offensive line that protects the quarterback. It's the quarterback that gets the ball out of his hands fast. It's the coach that calls plays that gets the quarterback out of the pocket. Mm-hmm. So protecting the quarterback comes in different ways than just the offensive line.
Absolutely, and if he does, and if Brewer does have time, he's got, like we said, best weapons in the county. Mm-hmm. Obviously, with the star on and a guy that can run every route in the route tree, can line up everywhere across the field. He can get the ball to Lucas Young, right? Yep. He's going to make a play. I think that with a 50-50 ball with him is more like a 60-40 or 70-30 ball when it's going to Lucas Young. And then you've got some other weapons. You've got the speed with Luke Thompson. You've got Sean Gock in the backfield, who's had a great offseason. And he looks all over the place in these scrimmages. You've got the big tight end Jack Flynn, right? And then you've got the twin tower over there. You've got Wills Jackson. Okay, so there's no shortage of weapons, starting with Lucas Young and going down the list. And so I completely agree with you. If that offensive line can hold the front, and you can trust them in the trenches and trust them in the foxhole, then I have no doubt that Franklin will not have any trouble handling their business at home in front of 6, 7, 8,000 people in attendance against the Cougars coming into town for the Battle of Franklin. Jett, it was a pleasure. Always love having you on the show.